Deep down, we all know that we need social media, but the truth is, many of us don't even know how to get started. Today's guest has been featured all over the world in some of the biggest publications, billions of social media impressions. This guy knows what he's doing. He decided to come on, share his experience on how we as e-commerce sellers can start building and utilizing Instagram. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the AM PM podcast. Today we have a guest that I met, I guess it was last year in Bangkok, right? Isn't that where we ran into each other? And there was this dude that's just super cool walking around, like cool as a cucumber. And I had no idea the accolades that this guy has stacked up. He has contributed to TEDx. Entrepreneur Magazine has called him the influencer secret weapon. He works with companies like Ritz-Carlton. He's worked with guys like Russell Brunson. It's a huge, huge resume. And I'm honored to have him on today because he wants to talk to you, the listeners, about social media. So just to set the stage, Zach and I were talking right before this got started, and I said, hey, the majority of our audience are e-commerce sellers. They're using a platform. They're using Amazon, eBay, something like that, and we're not necessarily proactively building an audience. And I think that's wrong, and Zach thinks that wrong. And the truth is, most of you listeners think that's wrong, but you might not know how to make it right. Like logically, you know you need to build your own audience, but you're not sure why or how. So what Zach wants to share today is the concept of most people, especially in e-commerce, are doing social media wrong. He's going to talk about some of the biggest misconceptions, biggest mistakes that people make, and then he's going to give us the plan for building an audience and then monetizing on it. So Zach, thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. And where are you located right now?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. So I was actually in Puerto Rico for a couple of weeks, and I'm moving around. I was in Fort Lauderdale last week, and now I'm in Columbus, Ohio. So yeah, man, another state, another country. After this, I'm going to be headed to Korea and Maldives for the rest of the year.
So now I'm embarrassed because last week I was also in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we could have caught up. So yeah, world traveler, is that something that you had anticipated, like you wanted to do all your life, or is this just kind of happened by accident?
So yeah, I mean, growing up, so before this marketing stuff, I was a break dancer and I taught dance all over the world. So I was actually on this TV show called So You Think You Can Dance. And that kind of kickstarted my career to teach dance all over the world. So here I was, and I was living life. I was traveling 50 countries, making $1,000 an hour. And then I hurt my back. And, what happened was, long story short, I had to get surgery, and I could never get dance again. And so the same guy who got me into dancing called me up and was like, Zach, you need to get in on this Instagram stuff. Me and my brother were making a ton of money just growing people's accounts. And so with the last $10,000 that I had, I sent him a check and, ended up owning about 10% of a 400,000 follower comedy account. And we just used that account to grow other comedians and wannabe comedians and just rinse and repeated the process, started acquiring other accounts and other niches, beauty, fitness. And, fast forward today, we got a huge network, 200 million, growing some of the biggest brands in the world, man. But it's fun. So now I even my dance days are over. I do a lot more traveling now.
So let's start talking about social media. I kind of want to dive in here pretty deep. So just so I understand, you basically had an audience that was catered towards comedy. So then you started allowing access to other comedians to that audience to start promoting them. So basically these other upcoming or even established comedians would pay you for exposure on your Instagram account that had a comedy loving audience. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we ran simple promos saying, hey, follow so-and-so for, more comedy content. And just, we cracked the code and created a shout out system where we just basically did hundreds of shout outs until people got their followers. And back then, I mean, these were kind of the earlier days of Instagram. This was in 2015. And so, just with these shout outs and just really good original content, I mean, we were able to make people go pretty viral and grow people thousands of followers per day.
So as we discussed before we started recording, you understand that and we all understand, all of you listening understand that a marketplace like Amazon, we do not have customers. We don't have them. They're Amazon's customers. Just like if we had a product that we sold in Walmart on the shelf, when somebody walks in and buys that product, they're buying it from Walmart. They're not buying it from us. So the holy grail, the epitome of success, the ultimate goal is to build our own client base, essentially. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Social media is definitely a huge one. So Zach, as we're talking about like this concept of, hey, we need to get off our butts and start building a social media presence, a social media audience. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they're jumping into this idea and trying to get it kickstarted?
So, I mean, I talked to a lot of Amazon sellers. Like I was just in Puerto Rico just a few weeks ago, and linked up with some top sellers. And the thing is like they're super successful, right? They cracked the code. They like picked a niche and just like skyrocketed to the top. But I think a lot of them were just talking about like it was like, how do I actually build a brand on Instagram? And taking that, like what they've done on Amazon and switching it over to Instagram so that they can have, more traffic sources. They can have, customers that they can call their own, and they can build a personal brand for themselves, because it doesn't matter so much who you know. What matters is who knows you. And so I think your name is your most important asset. And so it's just, your reputation is what others think you are, and character is what you are, right? So it's like it's about you and building your personal brand and building your empire.
So would it be safe to say that people sometimes focus too much on their product brand and not their own personal brand? So is that one of the mistakes you're saying people make, like not owning this is their business, not putting themselves out there, not talking about their story and their love for these products?
Yes, that's right, spot on. Because when people like, first step is to have a great product. And once you have a great product that just gets insane and amazing results, I mean, you're going to have people like huge fans and huge lovers of it, and they're going to spread it and, promote for you. But the other thing that people are doing nowadays is just like Googling you, right? Like, who is the person behind this? Who's the manufacturer? Who's like, what's their story? What's their vision? Like, who are these people? Are they good people? Like, and so by building up your street cred, it also helps you improve sales, because then people nowadays, they're more conscious. They're like, hey, I only want to use certain brands that have like these ingredients, or if this person is, not passionate about this stuff, or like they're using, some weird stuff, then I'm not going to work with them.
All right, so I'm completely sold on the concept, right? And you're right. We look at things like Tom's shoes and Warby Parker glasses, and like everybody wants that brand that they love and they can trust, and they feel like they're contributing to a better society by buying that product. I get that. So let's say I'm an Amazon seller. I've been selling these products, maybe doing extremely well, but I haven't started branding myself to take my brand to the next level. I decide today, hey, I'm going to start selling on Instagram. What is the biggest mistake I'm most likely to make today? Like, what do you see constantly? You just want to slap these people and say, quit doing this. This doesn't work.
Yeah. So mistake number two, I mean, people are just so eager to like sell and make money, right? They think that it's just going to happen overnight. So you see a lot of these new brands just simply do like product shots and say, hey, check this out, link in the bio to purchase. And really what it is it's about creating influence. So it's about who uses your product, like your content, like that you're posting. Um, and really, like, I think that's like the first mistake, is that people are just simply paying influencers to post and promote their product, but they don't have an Instagram asset themselves. Like if they go to these influencers or people, fans go to your Instagram page, it might be like, only 500 followers, 1,000 followers. It doesn't look like a legit brand. So I see a lot of these new brands pouring thousands and thousands of dollars to get promoted by these A-list celebrities, but they don't even have a solid looking Instagram page themselves. Like yeah, so that makes sense.
So if I want to start building up my street cred, my reputation on Instagram, typically how long does it take before I can start selling on it? And I understand what you're saying. Like you can't just start pitching. You have to provide value. You have to provide content. You have to have people want to come to your page. So typically, how long does that last? Like, is this a 6-month deal before I start trying to monetize, or a year, or 3 months?
It could be, but so the other thing that I like to do is actually, I mean, there's two ways to get into this really fast, right? Number one, you can actually buy an account, or number two, you can start what's called a repost account. Step number one, I say that you should either buy an existing Instagram account, or two, start a repost Instagram account in your niche, right? Think of your end user, your end customer, like who do you want to reach? And so a quick way to do this and go to the top fast and monetize fast is by growth hacking it this way, right? So there's a lot of accounts and a lot of marketplaces where you can buy accounts and just simply switch them over. And so that's what we've done, right? So exactly like how we did it like 5 years ago when we bought that comedy account. It was somebody's meme repost comedy account. So they were reposting other people's content, giving them credit, making them go viral, and that's how they grew the page, and that's how they monetized the page.
So they weren't even creating their own content. They were just finding or you were just finding other people's content, consolidating it in a way that people could quickly browse it all, and that's how it grew.
Yeah, and this strategy still works today. So like let's say that I have a makeup like kind of beauty hair tutorial account. It's called Glamour Ideal, and it's all about makeup and beauty. And so basically all we do and I have my VAs do is repost other people's content that they've already created onto that page, give them credit, use the right hashtags, use engagement groups, and that's what how we're growing the page thousands of followers per month.
If I'm looking at purchasing the account, I know that the value of these things is increasing. So these can get pretty expensive, but I don't need to go out and buy an account with 500,000 followers right now. If I was getting started, I have an e-commerce brand, I want to get a little bit of traction. Let's say my product is, I don't know, a journaling product, and I want to find like an account of people that journal and, organize and life hacks and all that stuff. Should I be looking best bang for the buck for an account with 500 followers, 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers? Like, where's the sweet spot where you get good engaged audience at a really good price? When I say engaged, you could explain more than I, but I know a lot of people have a lot of followers, but if they don't have engagement, it's not nearly as, powerful, because you can buy followers, but that's not any good, right? So what's like the sweet spot if I wanted to start with purchasing an account?
So the sweet spot would be to buy an account that it has at least 10,000 followers plus, because when you have over 10,000 followers, Instagram allows you to put links in your Instagram stories and do the swipe up feature. So that's another way to drive traffic and make sales. So I'd be looking for accounts that have at least 10,000 followers plus, but I would really try to shoot for and try to find accounts that have maybe 50,000 to 60,000 followers. That just looks pretty good. And, it's a numbers game, right? Some of these people will be interested in your products and some won't. So I think by buying a bigger audience from the get-go is a lot better.
Any idea of what, like, costing? You could just spitball it. But if I wanted to buy an Instagram account with 50,000 followers, what kind of budget should I have for that?
Right, and so you just mentioned like kind of like a journal, like self-improvement, self-help, motivational type page. So there's a lot of those out there. Those are becoming a little bit more expensive just because a lot of entrepreneurs are grabbing those and then changing them over to their personal page, because a lot of them are life coaches and authors and podcasters and stuff. But I'd say for like a 50,000 motivational quote account, it could go anywhere from maybe like $1,500 to 4,000.
I feel like that's way cheaper than I expected you to say. That's amazing. All right, so now I'm getting excited about this. So acquire an account, and whether you're starting from scratch or acquiring, you're a big fan of the reposting campaigns, right? So you said you have VAs to do this. You just train VAs just to scour Instagram looking for other stuff with high engagement. You repost it, reshare it, give credit so it links back to the original hoster, which gets you some like centrifugal love going on in Instagram. And that's you make it sound too easy. Okay. Yeah. So keep talking to me about this. Like, I am Tim. I want an Instagram account now with 100,000 people. That way I can start using it for launching new products, for selling products, whatever it is. Um, I just bought an account with 10,000 people. All right. So I just skipped ahead, bought an account with 10,000 for a couple grand. Now I want to build this thing from 10,000 to 100,000. What are my next steps?
Oh, and quick note: the reason why that some of these people sell their accounts in the first place, it's just the same thing as like any business. Like let's say take like a baby boomer who's like 50 years old and they've been in the game, had the business for like 30 years. Some people are just looking for a way out. So the price does range, and also depends on like the value that you can give them in exchange, because a lot of
Sure.
these kids are young and they want to start other businesses. But and so, yeah, so once you have an asset, you have an account, you have a business, okay, how do you grow it? Like, how do you maintain it? So the step number one is really using the right hashtags. Okay, so hashtags still work, but there's a lot of misinformation about hashtags. People are using hashtags that have hundreds of millions of posts on them, right? So think about it. If you use the hashtag motivation, that hashtag alone has probably 200 million posts on it. So millions and millions of people are using that hashtag, every single month. Um, so what you want to do is you start big and narrow down and find hashtags that have smaller number of posts on them, because when you open up your Instagram app, Instagram shows you like tags. Like the third thing over says tags. It's short for hashtags. And when you type in motivation, it's going to show you all the hashtags that are related to that mega hashtag with 200 million posts. And you're going to start to scroll left and right and find hashtags that have smaller number of posts on them, like 100,000 posts or a million posts or 500,000 posts. And you're going to want to write those down. And you want to find hashtags that have, I would say, a wide range, right? Maybe between 25 to 50,000 posts on them, 50 to 100,000 posts, 100 to 250,000 posts, and so on. And write down 30 hashtags. That equals one hashtag set, and create multiple sets of these hashtags, and rotate them throughout the month to see which ones give you more followers, engagement, impressions, and
So when I put a set of hashtags on one of my posts, the viewers of the post are going to see 30 different hashtags, right?
right.
So I'm hearing people say that quantity is not as good as quality for hashtags right now. Like people are saying, hey, you should only have two hashtags instead of 30. You disagree with that?
You can put a couple of hashtags in the description, like of the picture and the piece of your creative. But then after you post, then you want to copy and post the rest of the hashtags and place them in the first comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people use hashtags, right, just to become discoverable and searchable. But if you're not using hashtags, then how will people find you unless you're spending a lot of money running ads? So I just yeah, hashtags still work, but it's about using the right ones, doing your research, finding hashtags that have smaller number of posts on them. Like let's say a hashtag that has 50,000 posts, it's a lot easier to hit the top 12 posts for that hashtag because less people are using it versus somebody who's using a hashtag that has a million posts, right? In order to hit the top 12 posts for that hashtag, you need to have a lot more engagement on your posts.
All right. So hashtags. What's the next one? What's the next piece of wisdom you have for us?
Okay, so this is the strategy for the repost accounts, right? So we have the reposted viral content, we have the hashtags. The next thing are engagement groups. And you guys might have heard of engagement groups. Well, so the type of groups that we're going to be talking about today, like right now, are direct message groups, DM groups. So this takes place in the DMs, right? Your Instagram mailbox, like. And so basically, what happens is it's you and 14 other people inside of a group. And so throughout the day, everybody drops their links, they stay posted, and everybody in that group is supposed to like and comment on each other's posts. And now, when you get enough like engagement from really big accounts throughout the day, several times a day, it hits the algorithms and boosts you onto the explore page, that homepage, that where people find and discover new content. And so that's really, really the goal of these engagement groups. But you're probably wondering, like, okay, how do I like get into these groups, right?
Yeah,
Like,
like how do I find the groups and can I be in multiple groups? Or is it just less beneficial? Just pick one group and go.
you want to be in a lot of these groups, and in order for it to work, you need to be in, at least 20, 30 groups, actively participating every single day. So that's why I recommend a VA. But like, let's take a step back and like, how do we find these groups, right? You're like thinking, Zach, I only have like, I'm new to Instagram. I only have 500 followers, 1,000 followers. Like, how the heck am I supposed to get a like and some engagement from an account that has 1 million followers? So when I first started, I was like, this was like 5 years ago, right? When I first started, I reached out to pages that had 100,000 followers, 400,000 followers, 500,000 followers. And it was easier because I had a 400,000 follower account, remember? So that's why I
Yep.
recommend that if you want to get a jump start, then purchase an account, because then you can leverage your audience power, your number power, to network with other bigger accounts. But if you don't want to do that and spend the money, and you just want to try to get into these groups, you can still reach out to big accounts and offer to pay them to get inside some of their groups and into their network. And so what I realized is that when I like was reaching out to these pages that had 100,000 followers on them, like they were running, like these accounts were ran by kids, like teenagers, like 15, 16, 18 years old. And so I said, hey, I love your account, I love your page. I'm new to Instagram, but I want to learn. And, people tell me that engagement groups are where it's at. It's what people are using to grow. And I see that you're in a bunch of these groups. So I'd be willing to pay you like $10 for each engagement group you can get me into. So I can tap into your network and we can all help each other. And so that was kind of my cold DM message that I would send out. And, you know, I'd be surprised. Like people were like, "Yeah, I can do that. I can help you out, bro." So like 10 minutes later, I was in like all these groups, and I'd only spent like $50. And you know, I mean, when I was a kid, I was 15 years old. I was making $7 an hour just mowing my grandpa's lawn.
Yep.
So for these kids to make $50 in quick 10 minutes, I mean, that was cool to them. That was value to them. Because then they're able to monetize. So we just rinsed and repeated the process, and that's how we got into these groups.
Are there other places to find engagement groups as opposed to just cold calling and reaching out to other large pages?
So a lot of changes have happened on Instagram, right? Like we went through the automation days where
Mhm.
you could do follow, unfollow, story viewers, just different growth strategies to grow the accounts. But because Instagrams and even engagement groups, there's kind of marketplaces that you could go online and in Telegram and find these engagement group services. But now because the algorithms are so smart, and Instagram's algorithms are so smart, they can detect this automation and these third-party tools and apps and services, and so they've pretty much shut them down. And if you are using them, they can say, hey, stop using them or your account's going to get compromised and deleted. So
So you have to go a little more manual, a little old school to kind of make it more authentic and original.
yeah, right. Nowadays you do. So yeah, straight up human power. So that's why I have like a team of VAs like in Philippines and other parts of the world. Like they're just manually doing this stuff, because it's really effective. It's very effective, and this is like, these are two strategies that we're still using to grow some of our accounts.
So we've talked about the reposting campaigns. We've talked about the correct hashtags. We've talked about engagement groups. Okay, what's the next step?
So once you're actually seeing some traction and growing your account, um, you'll get other brands and people that will start wanting to work with you. And so I think that's like, before you spend money and pay $10,000 for an influencer to promote your post, you need to have these three basic steps in place. And so your account should have at least 10,000 followers so that it has the swipe ups. that you can put in your website link in your
Yeah,
Instagram
put your call to actions. Yeah.
and you need to look like a legit brand, because if people do send traffic and you have only 500 followers, like the fans won't probably buy, because they're like, this person's content strategy doesn't look solid. Their page is getting
Yep.
barely any engagement. And so really the first step is reaching out to the influencers, reaching out to micro influencers. And so the other thing that people do is they pay these celebrities like $20,000 to do like a 24-hour post, put their eggs all in one basket, and they get like maybe 5 sales. So you want to kind of spread it out and find and kind of network with influencers, because think about it, if you have a 50,000 follower page and you network with somebody that has 20,000 followers or 10,000 followers, they're more considered to be like a micro influencer. They will just promote your product in exchange for exposure on your page and for
Yeah.
some free product. And so I would kind of hustle that way. Make a list of all these micro influencers that are that have awesome looking pages, good engagement, and kind of negotiating and striking a deal with them to promote your products for free in exchange for free product.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
So we have those 4 steps.
Yep.
And then the next thing that people have to do is actually like, once they're making some sales with Instagram influencers, they can then start running ads.
Just to make sure I understand the process, all of my followers become an audience I can run ads to, and those ads will pop up everywhere. They'll pop up on Facebook, everything, right? So the objective is to build the audience and then later run ads to it without being too spammy in the organic posts themselves, right? So are we kind of separating the spamminess and just the engaged content? Or are we just spamming the crap out of our audience, not with ads, but with organic posts?
Well, so I recommend like maybe like 3 to 5 organic posts per week.
Okay.
And then every week or 2 weeks, run like a promoted ad, and just for starters. But I think like once you do have like the right influencers and people like promoting your brand and also promoting your products on their walls, like you'll get some user generated content that you can then post on your page, and it's going to look a lot better. But and then step number 6 would be getting Instagram verified. That blue check mark, right?
Oh, yeah.
That blue dot, like that people have on Facebook, Twitter. You see all the famous celebrities and brands have that blue dot next to them. So just pretty much the stamp of approval by Facebook and Instagram saying that you're a legit brand, a legit company, and a trustworthy person. And so it's more of like the highest level trust badge that you can get for Instagram. And now there's really 3 requirements that you need to do that. Step number 1, you need to have at least 30,000 followers. Step 2 is you need to have at least 10 full feature articles about you and your company. So, not like just a listicle or a mention, but like a full article. And 3, it helps if you're already verified on another platform like Facebook or Twitter, and then you can admit yourself and go for Instagram verification.
I have a million more questions about how to use an audience once we have it, but it sounds like, running ads, promoting your products is going to be number 1. 2, you could have other influencers actually reach out to you to promote their products, which is great. So multiple ways to monetize on this, right? So basically using your exposure for another brand and selling your own brand. Are those the 2 primary ways that like an e-commerce seller would monetize on building an audience on Insta?
Yeah, those are the 2 primary ways. But like some of this knowledge, it does seem so common sense. But like if people are actually doing the work and creating these engagement groups and using these right hashtags and using viral content, and they get good at finding viral content, like seeing content that has viral potential before it's gone viral and reposting it. Like these strategies will grow your account in thousands of followers per month. And
Man, that's awesome.
yeah, so it's really just about like the take home message with these three strategies is really it's just having someone manually working their way inside of these big groups, like building relationships with accounts that have hundreds to thousands to millions of followers, getting inside of these groups, whether it's paying your way in, and then also doing one-offs, right? So it's like a like for like or a comment for comment. And there's a lot of these groups on Instagram that exist. You just have to find your ways into these networks, whether it's with
Yeah.
money or something else that you can help these people with. But then, Tim, you talked about like, okay, what's another way to to monetize it? Well, so this is the way that I monetize it. So what I do is I travel the world for free, right? So I've gotten over 850 nights for free at some of the world's most luxurious hotels in the world. I mean, you've seen some of my pictures. Like I got a hotel in Bali for 125 nights last year. So I used 75 nights for myself. No, 50 nights for myself, and then 75 nights I gifted to my friends, family, and just strangers. But the important point here is this, guys. Like you can actually buy travel accounts, and with these travel accounts, you can get free travel. But then you can also use them to network and connect with other tropical hotels and tourism boards, and get free trips for you and other people. And so how I help other people monetize is by reaching out to, let's say, a hotel like Intercontinental, Four Seasons in Bora Bora. I say, hey, like this is my travel account. This is my travel network. So all of my friends in my engagement group, like we would love to come and share your experience in exchange for positive Instagram posts. And our Instagram service, so we could grow your account like 5,000 followers per month in exchange for X. And so then I say, hey, these are travel accounts, but then I partner with other celebrities, and I say, hey, like this hotel in Bora Bora wants to host us. So we choose like 5 influencers with like 2 million, 3 million followers, and then we get their power. And then I reach out to a big supplement company and I say, hey, like we already have these celebrities. We have Bora Bora Four Seasons. These are travel pages. Um, would you like to pay for our airplane tickets to get there? And once we get there, everything's taken care of: the food, the beverage, the experience, the activities. And then we'll give you some free content, and these influencers will promote your brand. And then, sometimes I charge some money on top of that if, depending on the deal. But I work out a three-way deal so that everybody's getting amazing content, amazing experience, and then new relationships and businesses formed. And, like a lot of these brands do want to do this because it's a no-brainer. It would cost them so much more to do this, but just by leveraging their travel account and networking with hotels and celebrities, they're able to get super dope, epic content in a tropical destination, and some of that stuff goes viral.
So all of you that during this podcast have looked at Zach's Instagram account and all these amazing photos of where he goes, where he stays, where he lives, he's getting it for free. So just to make you even more jealous, that's really, really awesome. So I know that, and we'll have to wrap up pretty soon. We're going to end up going over time, but I have to ask you, like your entire world for the past 4 or 5 years has been on social media, specifically Instagram or mostly Instagram. What's next? Like a lot of people talk about, like the huge, TikTok growth. And then we're like, oh crap, we might not have TikTok next month. Like everything, especially with TikTok and it being Chinese owned, is very volatile right now. Facebook hasn't changed a whole lot in the past 10 years, but it's still, huge. Like people are talking about Telegram. People are talking about, what's going to happen with Facebook buying WhatsApp. So for you, as you're sitting down trying to figure out like the next 5 years of your social media prowess, right? What do you think is the next big thing that we all need to start looking at and learning?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, so like we're still focusing on TikTok right now. Like, so I mean, we have our TikTok network, and we're growing out our TikTok pages. So people are using their TikToks now to just focus on building their Instagrams again, and it's kind of crazy. So it's just kind of leveraging one platform, and when you have an audience, I mean, you can move them over. And so really, I think that's the most important things that people need to think about, like right now, is how can I take action now to provide value, to build up my tribe, to make them loyal, raving fans. And so when the next thing does hit, they have a place to take them.
Well, that is so cool. So before we wrap up, is there any other last words of wisdom that you want to share to the listeners today? Maybe some sort of encouragement, some sage pizza wisdom, something.
Yeah, well, I mean, my free travel strategy is really, it's like, okay, once you get in these engagement groups, once you buy an account and get into some big engagement groups, you can leverage to reach out to other hotels and things that you want to get for free. But you really have to think about your value stack, right? How can you differentiate yourself from other people that are reaching out and wanting to stay at free hotels or connect with these celebrities and influencers to promote their products? And so I always try to make a stack of about 12 things that I can help the person with. Something, and some of them could be common things like, positive Instagram posts in exchange for something, but I kind of like double, triple the number. Like instead of like one Instagram post, I'm going to give you 5 posts per day. Right. And so it's that extra value that sets you apart. And the other thing that you have to is just do your research, find out other things that people really, 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 really want, but can't find a way to get it, and
Mhm.
figure out a way to give it to them. And that's going to open up doors and get your foot in the door.
Awesome. Well, you've given us a lot. I've been making copious amounts of notes here myself, stuff I'm going to try to figure out how to implement myself. If anybody was interested in following you and the content you put out, aside from Instagram, that's obvious. How can the audience here follow you and see what you're up to?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me. I mean, connect with me on Facebook, Zach Benson, Instagram, Zach Vacay, Luxury Hotels. Yeah, and then zachbenson.life is my website, so you can see all of my travel videos there. But yeah, I would love to connect, see how we can support each other.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on. I know that putting out free content like this takes a lot of time out of your busy schedule, but I know everybody listening appreciates you doing that, because even if it's just one little tip that somebody picks up, that could be the little tip they need to make a big change in their business or even get started in their business. So, thanks again, Zach. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.